We oftentimes talk about how like mental the game is. When you deal with an injury, it's even more so. And I remember talking to you on several occasions in off season. I'm really focused this off season on getting back to where I was before. It felt like this constant search for where I was.
I didn't know the ups and downs of the rehab process, the ups and downs of the mental capacity of going through every single day, watching your guys play, achieve more, and like you kind of falling behind. That's what really hit me the most was, man, I want to contribute. I want to do this. But then you realize like you can't do anything because you're in a brace. I've told multiple guys, multiple teammates, what you're going through right now, you've never struggled up to this magnitude. But at the same time, it's preparing you for something greater.
All right, so we are joined today by a client, a friend. People recognize you. I know they do because they saw you obviously participate in the World Series last year, but this is Anthony Banda with the LA Dodgers. Appreciate you coming on. The reason why I wanted to have this conversation is I think most people, especially for my audience, they're parents of players anywhere from called 11 to 17, right? And I think most of the people kind of have a preconceived notion of what the minor leagues is like, but I don't think everybody really understands how much sacrifice goes into actually being able to stay.
Yeah. First off, thank you for having me. Secondly, there is a big misconception of, you hear the stories of guys getting drafted and going straight to the big leagues, right? And then there's guys that, spend maybe a year or two in the big leagues nowadays. Like, I feel like everybody's being pushed and deserving, and then they don't want to waste those skill sets in the minor leagues to like really, how would you say, like progress them or develop them?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a huge misconception of it, and I think a lot of people need to, like what you're doing with this podcast. I think it spreads awareness of like what it's really entails. And I think that's very important for people in the audience to know that.
The interesting story that I think you can articulate and kind of talk about is, so you were somebody who, you were never that premier guy as a young player,
no.
Right? You had to, we talk about your minor league career as a grind, like you had to grind even before you got the opportunity to play professional baseball. You get traded to the Tampa Rays, right? And then you ended up getting hurt. When that happened to you, what was the most overwhelming feeling that you had? Was it, I can't believe I can't play baseball for a while? Or, I know the rehab process is something that is so overwhelming. What was the thing that stood out as the most mentally challenging?
Well, when I first initially got told that I was going to have Tommy John surgery, it was AAA Durham, 2018, right? And it was the first time I ever got hurt, like ever in my life. Like I was pretty fortunate not to not break a bone or anything, not have to go through surgery or anything else like that. So I didn't really know what to expect. It was the unknown of what the reality was. In the sense, like in my head, I was like, I wasn't nervous or scared or anything. It was just like, okay, so this time next year, I will be pitching again, right? And I was like, okay, so I'm gonna tackle this rehab, and like this is without knowing anything. Like I haven't gone through anything like this, so like I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know the ups and downs of the rehab process, the ups and downs of the mental capacity of going through every single day, watching your guys play, achieve more, and like you kind of falling behind. And I think that's what really hit me the most was when I was watching the guys play, and I was like, man, I want to contribute. I want to do this. I want to do that. It was just like the itch of just getting back on the mound, getting the throw and stuff like that. But then you realize like you can't do anything because you're in a brace. Like you literally got a brand new elbow, and you got to wait for that ligament to like actually, mature. And I think that was the hardest thing for me. It was afterwards when I started actually throwing and getting off the mound and stuff. This was the second thing that really like kicked my butt was before I had any injuries. Right, I was always taught to just be athletic, throw, just move down the mound smoothly. Like I wasn't a mechanic like driven guy. Like I wasn't that. I was just like get on the mound, flow with the mound, throw the ball, get it over the plate. And it was a very simple mindset, and it bit me. It bit me because when I was trying to do that again, I wasn't moving the same. I wasn't moving as fast. Everything was off as far as timing and everything else like that. So like when we would do a mechanical breakdown, I had zero knowledge of what it was. And I know it's surprising to some people. It's just like, well, you're a big leaguer, you should know this. Like, no, like I'm an athlete. Like I wanted to just stay that way, and I wanted to be clear-minded and make the focus about what pitch I needed to do, like to make to get this out, right? And so when I was going through that rehab process, it was very, very hard for me, and I was changing so much. And then in reality, I didn't really know that I was doing it in the sense of I wasn't trusting the process, right? And a lot of people talk about that. A lot of people, especially the big leaguers, like that have gone through some stuff and had a long career, successful career, they talk about trusting the process of what you do every single day. I wasn't doing that. So it was every day it was something new, right? And it was just like I wasn't gaining any type of ground on the progression of like, the throwing off the mound and feeling right. It was always something different every single day. And I think that's what really drove me down a rabbit hole where I couldn't pull myself out. And by the time, I was trying to, the team I had basically moved on, right?
Yeah. The thing that I think people assume when they have surgery is, all right, I understand that with Tommy John especially, like, okay, it's going to be a year. And the reason they think a year is because most doctors are like, all right, look, in 12 months, this is where you're going to start, you're actually throwing again, you're on the mound, so people just assume like, okay, so in a year I'll be back. It's like, no. You may be back on the mound in a year, but it's not going to be until 14 months, until 16 months, where all of a sudden now you feel like you can let it go freely again. And that's one of the biggest things I know that a lot of guys struggle with is I feel like I don't trust it yet. I feel like something's going to happen. So you're like, yeah, your mechanics change. You're trying to do things that you never focused on before. And yeah, I can only imagine going through that the first time, despite the fact that people tell you, hey, this is how it's going to go. You're like, not for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then when it feels good to start and guys start telling you, hey man, you're a little ahead of schedule, all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. And then you hit your first like hiccup, right? Everybody has one. And all of a sudden it's like, they got to shut me down for 2 weeks. I've got to back off a little bit. And now the wheels start spinning. What does this now mean for me? And I think the thing that people don't really talk about, but it is an element that I can only imagine is like a paralyzing thought, which is, how old were you when you had Tommy John? Do you remember?
I was 23.
20, right. So
23, 24.
Young, had already gotten to the big leagues, were a top prospect. And as that year's going on, now you're like, I'm seeing other guys now get to the big leagues. Are they taking my job? Do I have a place here now? And then you start hyper analyzing. They're not talking to me like they used to. Is there something I don't know? And yeah, the wheels start spinning and it's like your imagination takes over and the worst case scenario is now playing itself out. So we oftentimes talk about how like mental the game is. When you deal with an injury, it's even more so, right? So you come back, and I remember talking to you on several occasions in off seasons where, hey, I watched video and I see what I was doing. So I'm really focused this offseason on getting back to where I was before. And it was like it felt like this constant search for where I was.
Yeah, it was about 3 years of that.
Yeah. And so obviously at the time with Tampa, eventually you move on from Tampa. And then in the next 4 or 5 years, it was, we're talking 9 teams, right? It was, and here's what's interesting. As weird as that is to probably hear and even remember, funny enough, it's actually a good thing. The fact that many organizations would say, I know this guy is good. We want this guy because we believe we can unlock where it should be. And then you start going around from team to team to team. And it's like, oh man, I was DFA'd again. And you played for, was it 4 teams in 1 year?
Yeah, 14.
4 teams in the big leagues. Yeah, Toronto, Pittsburgh, the Mets. Is that the same year?
Yeah.
And there's one other.
Yankees.
And the Yankees. Yeah. And it was like boom, boom, boom. So I tell people all the time, if you play Immaculate Grid on Baseball Reference, you know that game? You're like the greatest answer because you've played for so many teams that like chances are one of these is going to work.
Yes, it is.
All right. So moving on through your career, obviously, you end up signing one off season a couple years ago with the Washington Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about that because I think this is going to help people, even in pro ball right now, players who have an opportunity to be a minor league free agent and they have interest from multiple teams. As we were gathering that interest level, we had other teams that had interest. The Dodgers were one, right? Now, the difference in the opportunities was on the surface vastly different, right? The Dodgers were a team that was stacked. They really didn't have much opportunity. They talked to you about the specific things that you could focus on and maybe improve upon your pitching. But ultimately, we decided to sign with the Washington Nationals because we felt like the pathway to be in the big leagues was extremely clear.
Yeah.
You go into spring training, you do the job, you make the team out of spring training, right? And this was a team, the Nationals, who they weren't going to make the playoffs that year. And so we felt like, hey, man, if we do what we should do, like we're in the big leagues the entire season.
Yeah.
You spend the first
month
in the big leagues, end up getting sent down to AAA, and it went downhill, right?
It went downhill fast.
The numbers were probably as bad as you could hope.
Yeah.
Especially given how you did up to that point, even in the big leagues, right? Yeah. So just on the surface, as you look at the numbers in the big leagues compared to AAA, it's like, wait a second. Something is obviously off, right? Yeah. There's a mechanical adjustment that needs to be made. And I know we spoke through that and it was like, yeah, and not to put a ton of blame on the Nationals, these things happen. You didn't feel like there was this support system.
I don't want to knock anybody or it's just like they were
each his own too. Like,
yeah, they were a little behind in the sense of like how to really connect and coach with players. So it's different type of players. Like it's not one shoe fits all. Like, it's, there's people that, need to have a specific way of talking, whether it's mechanics, whether it's a mental capacity, whether it's, old school style, as far as like, hey, just aim down and away or whatever it may be. For me, it was more of like, okay, there's something going on mechanically that I don't feel right. I don't feel good as far as moving. I'm throwing 90, 91. Like there's obviously something going on.
And you've traditionally been like an upper 90s guy.
And even in the big leagues, I was 96, 98. Like I didn't really know what was going on. Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. And I was just like, and every time I talked to the pitching coach and everything, it was just more of like, he just seemed exhausted, right? Because, you have a lot of different personalities going and trying to talk with. And
well, everybody's trying to like fix you.
Yeah.
Hey, do this, try this. This is going to be the thing that gets you back on top. And you're like,
yeah. And what really pushed me away when I just decided, you know what, I'm going to let this play out and like not really say anything, not even like, just try to old school it, right? I was sitting in the dugout and there was a scout there, and I had seen him around in the big leagues too. So he was like a big league scout, for the Nationals at the time. And I remember asking him, I was like, hey, like, you watch us play. Like, do you like, you've seen me play before. Like, this is just asking like from a perspective from a scout, like, what is it that you see differently? Like in the sense of like movement or mechanics, right? And like, I wasn't hoping that he would give me an answer. It was just more curiosity in the sense of like, maybe he sees something, maybe he doesn't. Like, I wasn't expecting much. And he literally told me, he's like, you're a guy that needs reassurance. He's like, you need to be rubbed on the back and you're not getting that. And I'm like, that is completely the opposite, but okay, thank you. Like,
yeah, like that was his perspective.
And I was like, really? Okay. All right. Thanks. Like, and then walking away from the conversation, I was just like, well, I'm never going to ask anybody anything ever again in the sense of like, just to have a conversation, just to start, just to get to know somebody. Right. And it was just like, man, like, all right, whatever. Like, and so from then on, I never asked the question and I never went to the pitching coach because I already knew where that was going to go. hey, you just gotta, do this, do that. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, like I'm not talking about pitches. I'm not talking about making the pitch. I'm not location or anything. I'm talking about just, I need to get my velo back. I need to feel good. I need to feel strong. Right now, I don't feel strong. And so it was just a circle of that. And then, granted, there was a lot of good guys there. I had my fun, it was just like, hey, let me just grind through this. What else am I going to do? Right.
Yeah.
And so I did.
Well, so you get to the end of that season, which let me actually pause for a second, because you say something that I think is a profound statement that may have they glossed over the audience, because I think everybody needs assurance.
Yeah, right? Up to a point, but like, this is like, and I think he's coming from a place where it's like, hey, you're a grown full man. I'm a grown man. I'm not going to sit here and
I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And which I respect. I respect that way more than anything else. And so like, that's why, when I walked away from it, I was like, okay, like,
yeah,
there's a reason why I talked to this guy. There's a reason why he said that to me. And there's a reason why I feel this way. I'm going to walk away from it. And in the sense of like, I'm going to take it, I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to move on.
Yep.
And I didn't take it as a negative. I wasn't pissed. I wasn't or upset or anything. It was more of like, oh yeah, like, okay.
Well, so what's interesting is, remember Derek Norris, catcher in the big leagues, all-star catcher? Yeah. So I had him on the podcast, and he does a lot of the hitting development now, and for a bunch of young guys. And he talks about a guy that he works with who's a top prospect in the minor leagues right now in AAA. And he goes, oftentimes I get a phone call from this guy after a game, and I know immediately upon him calling me, like he just went 0 for 4 with 4 punchies or something, and he's like full on spiraling, right? And he's like, all he needs to hear initially is, hey, brother, you're right there, right? It's either you're swinging at the wrong pitch or it's probably timing related, but like this isn't a mechanical change you need to make. But so that's the reassurance that I'm talking about. It's like, this isn't going to require this huge revamping, because I think that's what, as a player, you want to be able to control something. The only thing you can't control the result. The only thing you can control is your body and how it moves.
Yeah.
Right. Now, obviously, there are things like what pitch and all that stuff that's important. But yeah, that's why for me, I wanted to make it clear, like every player, and for someone who's, let's just say 15 years old, who's listening to this, or the parent of the 15-year-old, yeah, on some level, like if you're the dad or the mom that's constantly telling him every game when he's 0 for that, like, what are you doing? This isn't working. It's like, no. You don't need to create more doubt in his mind. No one wants to have success as much as the player does, always. So when you oftentimes bring that up, it's having the negative effect. So that doesn't mean that you always have to be positive all the time, but recognize, is this a time where he needs the reassurance, or is this a time where it's a safe space? Now, I haven't talked to him about anything like this in a long time. Let's now get into some of the stuff that I think you need to work on. So the interesting thing too about you is, if you look at your career, like you were always a guy that had a nasty breaking ball.
Yeah.
And I remember at this time, like mechanics were changing, release point was changing, breaking ball wasn't as sharp. And it's like, oh, did I lose the pitch? Should I, for lack of a better term, should I shit can the pitch? Literally, like, should I just rewrite how I'm like attacking hitters? Like, what is that problem? And so what I think is so great about this story is, so you finish that season and you and I had a conversation, man. And I remember you said to me, you're like, dude, I'm going to give this one last go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We go through the off season before we had a ton of interest.
So before we go into that, like when I said I'm going to give this last go, I was still like hung up on the fact that I feel good. I can still do it. Right? Like in my mindset. But then as the off season went, I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this again. Like, I really don't. Like, and it was to a point where I was talking about like just hanging them up. Like I really was going to walk away.
The enjoyment was gone. This wasn't about like, I'm having fun anymore.
Because I'm going out there and I'm getting my stuff just absolutely pieced up. Like, I'm like, this isn't fun. Like, I'm not enjoying striking people out, like in the sense, like, because I'm not, right? And I'm just absolutely, I might as well just grab the ball, turn around, throw it to the wall, and tell the guy to go run. Like, that's how it felt. And I was like, what is this? Like, this is embarrassing.
This isn't the baseball that I remember.
Yeah, this is embarrassing. Like, what value do I bring to the game if I continue doing this, right? Mm-hmm. What value do I bring to myself? if I continue doing this in the sense of like happiness,
like
achievements,
I'm
stuff
not
like
confident when I'm going out there every
Yeah.
single outing and I'm getting lit up or
Yeah.
walking the house or.
It was just like when I was having like that self-evaluation with myself, I was just like, man, like I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like, and I remember I was watching like YouTube videos on
Is this in the off season that year?
Yeah. And I was watching YouTube videos like I always have like this ASMR thing with like haircuts, right? And I love haircuts. I love cutting hair and stuff like that.
Yeah, Anthony, just so everybody knows, is like the team barber. I mean, I know it's not
in
for
the minor
everybody.
leagues.
Yeah,
in the minor leagues.
but like it's a talent.
But
You
now
cut your own hair.
But yes, and nowadays, like there's a team barber for every.
I know.
Like it's funny, but and that's a skill that like that's never gonna go away, right? Everybody's gonna need a haircut at some point, right? And so I was, but on YouTube it was funny because I was watching this these people turn a van into like a camping van or like a mini house or stuff like that. It was just like so intriguing. And it was just like, it wasn't the finished product that was intriguing to me. It was more of the process of it. Right. And I found some like actual enjoyment of that. Right. And I was like, man, I remember telling myself, I was like, if I can find enjoyment out of this, I know I can find enjoyment out of baseball. Like,
Ooh.
And so like, if it's something this little, I can find something where it can keep my attention and like I can really physically enjoy it. Like the baseball's got to offer me something.
That's pretty profound, yeah.
And so that's whenever I decided, like, and it was so funny because like the next day or maybe within that week, I get a phone call from Tread.
Yep.
To talk about.
Well, yeah. So everybody who's listening, what ends up happening is we don't have the interest that we had the off season before. And this is the off season of 23 going into 24.
Yeah.
And so we have a conversation and it was, hey man, this is somewhat common where when you don't have the interest level that, you either need, expect, whatever it is there are these different, facilities that hold these pro bullpen sessions essentially. Yeah. And so what that looks like is you go there with 20 other guys that also have experience in pro ball. They invite every single scout from baseball. Every single organization sends a scout for the most part. And it's your turn. Yeah. And it's like, let it eat. You're throwing a bullpen in front of all these scouts.
Yeah.
And you do this. And I remember there was like you and one other guy where you guys clearly wore the two guys that everybody was talking about. Like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
This looks different. Yeah. Like it looks like something's clicked a little bit. And so we had interest from a couple teams. We ended up signing with the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, before we get into that, I want to talk about all that. Like, just side note.
The bullpen?
Yeah. So, for the audience, like the Rookie, right? The movie, right? And I remember I had the conversation with my dad, and he was talking about like how was it, how to go, and this and that, and then I had to explain it to him, and I was trying to paint this picture for him, and I was like, you remember the movie The Rookie? Everybody's just there watching, right? And they're just like, there's nobody talking. It's just like everybody's shocked, right? That's how it was, right? And it was intimidating because the facility was full. There was a lot of people there,
and there's not a ton of room behind too. So it's like everyone's like on each other.
Yes, everybody's on there. You can hear the whispers. You can hear it, like and it's just like it was like that environment. And I was just like, when I walked off, and everybody was like, "Dude, whoa!" Like that was kind of impressive. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, thanks. Like, like in my mind, I'm just like, oh man, I can still throw 95, like, right? And then I remember sitting there and I was like, man, that was like The Rookie. Like that was it. That was so cool to like really take a step back, analyze the room and just see the experience, right? And man, I was nervous as heck. Like I really was like, and I felt like I was on a big league mound throwing a bullpen in front of these people. And I was like, man, like, and then that's when we had the conversation. I let you know and move on, and we get that offer.
Yeah. You know what's special too about that experience, and I think that these people listening could learn from this too, is you have these big events like I'm out in LA right now, the Area Code Games is going on. And, it's at one stadium and there's a ton of scouts. All these guns go up. So many players approach this environment and it's the same feeling, like extremely overwhelming. Everything's on the line.
It's a fight or flight mode.
Exactly. Yeah. I need to impress everybody. And the thing that I think is so profound about what you said is you were able to kind of slow things down and actually look around and almost appreciate it. Doesn't take away the nerves because you want to do well, but that slows it down. And so for everybody listening, it's like, yeah, if your son is going to a big event, like remind him, take a step back and just look around, put it in perspective, and then go out there and do your job. And it doesn't always go perfectly well.
No.
But if you can slow it down a little bit, there's going to be at least some level of appreciation for the experience, which will ultimately benefit you. So,
and the way I looked at it was like going onto the mound, I was like, all right, I got 15 pitches. 15.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
Right.
Well, and I think it was also good too that you had like level set with yourself where it's like, hey, I'm going to give this one last go. So in a sense, you didn't put all of this pressure on yourself, as much as I know that there was pressure that you want to do well. Of
course.
But like, you almost like, what do I have to lose?
Yeah. I had literally nothing to lose. I had everything to gain, nothing to lose. And I lived by that. That year.
So we signed with the Guardians. Part of your contract was something, for everybody listening, it's called an assignment clause or like an upward mobility clause.
Which, by the way, when you told me that, I never once heard that ever working. And it may have worked.
I've had it work multiple times. You're an extreme example of like, oh man, it's obvious that it worked. Quick. Right. Well, so let me explain this, like what happens so that everybody understands. So what an assignment clause is for a guy who signs a minor league deal. There's, a major league side, meaning if you get called up to the big leagues, this is your salary in the big leagues. But if you're in the minor leagues, this is your salary in the minor leagues. If you're in the minor leagues for an extended period of time that season, there's a date that is negotiable where if you are not in the big leagues by that date, we exercise the upward mobility or assignment clause, which means every organization gets an email from, in this case, the Guardians, essentially saying, we are giving you the opportunity, team. If you want Anthony, he has to go to your big league club, right? And if you want him in your big league club, then we first have the opportunity to say, no, we're going to bring him up to our big league club. If no team has interest, nothing happens. You stay in the minor leagues, in this case with the Guardians. So what ends up happening for you is you obviously threw well, which made teams inquire about you. The Dodgers were the team that ended up getting you from the Guardians. So the Guardians decided to essentially let you go, right? You go to the Dodgers and you're in the big leagues. And that was, do you remember the date that was?
May 19th.
May 19th. You end up getting to the big leagues. And I don't know if you could write a better script for your success, how it worked out for both you and the Dodgers, and to put it in perspective for people. So you get called up to the Dodgers. You're in the big leagues. You are lights out. You quickly get thrust into like a meaningful role in the bullpen.
So the first game was an extra inning game. Ellie De La Cruz was on second, extra innings. I remember it was Mike Ford.
Was this at Dodger Stadium?
Yes. It was a day game. It was Mike Ford, Candelario from the Reds, and I think maybe Espinal right after him.
Yeah.
And I remember I told myself was like, do not let Ellie get to third base. Right. If he scores from a base, he's going to score from a base.
Right. Which,
right.
Starting from that guy from going from second to third is like.
Yeah. Like I was just like, do not let him get to third base. Like, if anything, be quick to the plate or make sure looks, whatever you got to do, do not let him get to third base. And yeah, I went 1, 2, 3 and he didn't get to third base. And I was just like, I don't know how he did not steal. Like so I remember walking up the mound and I was like, I don't know how you didn't get to third base. I really don't. But right after that, it was, I think Ohtani hit the walk-off single and then we won.
And then things started to just develop, right?
Yeah, so the next day, I wish we had a baseball. The next day, I get to the field and everything, and I don't know what to expect. I'm still in like, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I'm going to enjoy it, right? And Connor McGinnis, the assistant pitching coach, he's the smartest person I've ever been around. He's like, hey, how do you hold your slider? And I show him, and I'm literally showing him a 3-finger slider, right? And they have this shirt with this dinosaur, and it has like how you hold that. So the meaning behind that is when someone like throws like a 40-foot pitch or they airmail something, we all like put our hand up like this and like how you hold that, right? It's like a little T-Rex with little arms. Like,
That's hilarious.
And that's the shirt. And I had no idea about it. And then they were like, oh my God, that's literally how you hold that. Like the grip that I had, they're like,
How was that grip?
It was literally, if you took the ball out, it was literally like this.
How did you hold it?
I had the seams. I had 2 seams on these 2 fingers,
Yep.
and then this one was off. So when they took the ball out, I was like, it was like literally how you hold that. And so I started laughing, and they're like, okay, like let's try this grip. You know, I've been looking at your stuff. I've been looking at your arm path and how it unfolds, and it gets real technical. And it's like, hey, I want you to spike it here. I want you to grab it here, and like, you know, just think, you know, hula hoop sensation, like hula hoop, right?
Well, I love that you just said that too, because it's not a matter of like, hey, just hold it this way. It's hold it this way and think this.
Yes.
Because without the thought, you may be letting the ball go in a different
absolutely
way.
And the way they explained it to me was, okay, like, and this was like mind blowing because like the only thought that I ever had with a breaking ball was like get the fingers to the front, right? And that is so unbelievably not true, like, or believably like unrealistic.
Yeah.
Right. And so the way they explained it to me is like, okay, the ball's going to work off your pronation, which, you know, when you're pronating through a throw, it's because you're decelerating the arm. That way your arm doesn't pop out of socket and all that stuff, right? And I remember being told I'm a heavy pronator, which hence why I had a good changeup. And they were like, you're going to have to hang on to this pitch. Like you have to hang on to it and let it work off the pronation aspect of your throw. And I say, okay.
And no one's ever told you that before?
Nobody, right? They've always told me you can't throw a breaking ball because you're pronated, you're pronation heavy. Like we can't do it. Like
interesting.
You can't get the fingers to the front. You can't clip the front of the baseball, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. I remember there's so many teams that told me this, and that's why I could never develop a breaking ball again. And I remember the first throw, it was like a sweeper. I was like, oh my God. Like I was so ecstatic because I was like, man, I made a ball turn right. I've never seen that. And so I told him, I looked back and I was like, I'm going to throw it in again. He's like, please don't. You literally just threw one throw. Like, please don't throw it again. I was like, I'm going to throw out the mound. He's like, okay. Right. And it's like a new kid with it. It's like a new toy with a kid.
You're
right.
Like super excited.
You want to go and, you know, and so I finish my throwing program and I get on the mound. Right. And I throw it and it's good. And I'm striking it and everything. And I'm like, I'm going to throw it in the game. Like, you know, and like, that's like first step, get it to turn. Second step, how does it look off the mound? Third step, am I striking it? Is it consistent? Right. And then I bottle that feeling that I had at the release point or throughout the throw, and I bottle that up. I go to my locker, and I'm so excited. And I cannot wait for the game to start. I'm like itching to get in the game, right? And when I got in the game, I threw it. And I just took off.
What did he say to you after the game? Was he like, what are you doing?
No, he was like, good job. And I was like, did you see it? Right? It was the first thing I asked him.
How many times did you throw it?
I don't remember. I don't remember. It was against the D-backs.
Was the first time you threw it, was it a strike? Was it swing and miss? What was it?
I struck 2 people out. Yeah. And after that, I was like, oh, yeah. And so he was just like, keep going. Like, you know, just keep going with it. And because he saw like my reaction. He saw the confidence growing in the pitch. And he was just like, he didn't want to say anything to like deter like me away from that, like take me away from all that. And he's like, just keep going. And so every day, and to this day, I still throw it like a bunch.
Yeah,
a bunch.
What I love about this too is, so I obviously saw how the Dodgers did something similar with another one of my guys before you, Ryan Brazier, who, you know, same thing but with a cutter, and all of a sudden it was like,
he was still there, like, and we talked about it. He's like, yeah, Connor's the man. Connor's gonna get you right. And this was before he even showed me the grip. Like, they're like, dude, you're gonna have to work with Connor, and he's gonna get you right. I promise you. And I was like, okay.
Well, and what's interesting is, you know, again, going back to the year before, we were talking to the Nationals and the Dodgers. There was a emphasis on, we have information that we think could be beneficial for you. We took a different path. Now coming back to the Dodgers again, now it's like, oh,
yeah, maybe this was the information.
This is what you guys were talking about, right? And it's so you end up, continuing to have a phenomenal season. You guys won the World Series. Your jersey's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, which was wild. I was like, whoa.
This is what I mean, though, when I'm like, this wasn't 3 years later.
Yeah.
This was that season.
Yeah.
You threw a bullpen at Tread, get signed by the Guardians, get brought to the Dodgers, be a meaningful role in the bullpen, win the World Series.
Yeah.
And then now you're Anthony Banda putting on the mask and it's like, I cannot script a better story. But again, people think, oh yeah, Anthony Banda is now this guy. Like, out of curiosity, let me go look at his minor league numbers. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
This guy. And what's interesting is, so now at the end of this season, we talked about this before, you'll have 4 seasons or 4 years in the big leagues. But people who don't really understand the business think, oh, 4 seasons in the big leagues, like, you get called up and spend 4 straight seasons in the big leagues. Like, no, man. The first time you got to the big leagues was
2017.
2017.
July 22nd, 2017.
And at the end of last season, you finally got 3 full seasons.
Yeah.
So it is a constant. You were shuffled up and down, different team to different team. As you reflect back on that now, do you believe that you had to go through all of those different things to get to this place where, like, it had to go the way that it went? Is there anything that someone could have told you at, 24 that you think would have just clicked and been like, oh, if he would have told me that before, I probably would have never had to go through what I went through?
It's easy to say, yeah, but I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think everybody goes and has their own journey going through the ups and downs in baseball, in life. It's going to happen, right? And it's so funny because, like, when I look back at it, it's like, man, like, I learned this from that. I learned this from that. And, going through it, I was always so eager to learn next thing, like, oh, this is gonna work, this is gonna work, right? And going through that and trying those things ultimately got me the time and in the sense of, like, going through 1 year, going to a next year, and like, people was like, how'd you do it? And I was like, well, I was just so focused on my work. Like, I wanted to get better so bad and I wanted to be good so bad that I just went for it. I went for it. I never gave up until that point where I was like, I'm exhausted and this isn't fun anymore, right? And so, but yeah, I believe that everybody needs to go, through some type of ups and downs, and it's going to teach you something. It's going to teach you a lot about yourself, regardless of what people say. That was the biggest thing that I overcame. I still fight with it to this day, like, wondering, like, what people think or what they say. But then at the end of the day, I always remind myself, like, they weren't there when you were going through it. Who cares?
Yeah, and I'll pay you a compliment too, because I remember when you got called up to the big leagues with Arizona. There were instances where, like, after every single outing, you'd call me and be like, "Hey, did they say anything to you?"
Yeah.
Like, there's, again, like, I'm curious. Are they happy with my improvement? Or
because I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know all the backbone of it.
When you also want to know, like, if there's something that they think I need to be doing, I want to know what it is.
Yeah.
And in pro ball, I think there's something to be said for getting that information, but it's also like that information comes in different times.
Yeah.
And there's no player that would ever have success if the team, after every single game, outing, whatever it is, like, hey, this is what you need to be aware of. It's just, it's too much information.
Absolutely. And it puts a panic in a player, which I put myself in that position. And I do want to compliment the Dodgers as far as, like, they do that very well. They will watch and they will believe, and they always look at the big picture. And if it's a continued struggle or a continued thing that is leading to a negative output or, whatever, they will come to you and say, hey, maybe we should, let's look at it. And this is what's going on, right? And this is what we need to do. This is what we think we should do that will give you the success back or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're so good at communicating that. I've been on a lot of teams, and there's some teams that would just like give up on you right away, where it's like they don't like, one, they don't have much value in you. Two, it's like they expect you just to do it. You're a pro athlete, you got to do it.
Yeah.
But we're all humans, right? We all forget that. And, we fall into these bad habits. We create bad habits. And we all just kind of really, at least I can speak for myself, really is like what I tend to do is like I fall back onto the year before, what the success I had as far as like, I'm not talking about 2024. I'm talking about like within my career. Like, well, I was doing this and I was good. And like now I'm doing it and like it sucks. It's like, well, and then there's just different outputs and outlets to it. What the Dodgers will come and explain it to you, or if they have not a problem, but they see something that's becoming a problem, they address it.
Yeah.
And that's the communication that's so different from anybody else.
So I'm really vocal with all of my guys who are amateurs or even in college, especially pitchers, where, when you think about how pitching has changed over the last, 10 years, obviously, but even in the last 5 years, right? Like just look at bullpens today compared to bullpens 5 years ago. Like Liam Hendriks is a perfect example. So Liam Hendriks, who, was a reliever of the year, multiple different times, ends up unfortunately, getting cancer, and he misses, part of this season, comes back, and then obviously then he blows out and then misses the rest of that season and then the following. And so even in those 2 seasons that he's missed, when he now comes back this year, like the game has changed. And it's not expectation. It's like what people are now doing, what hitters are now used to seeing has completely transformed. So one of the things I talk to these young amateurs about is like, as you think about the college program, if you don't identify a program that you feel like is going to do a good job developing you with a lot of this kind of new age stuff, the concern that I have is if you get drafted, you oftentimes don't have control over the organization that drafts you. So if the wrong organization drafts you who doesn't do a good job at some of this stuff, the pitching development, the communication, now it's like, well, when are you going to learn these lessons? Do you have to go through a situation like you had to go through where you're bouncing from team to team? And like, there's a lot of luck involved in that too. Like, I hope the right team gets me at the right time. So I tell these guys early, it's like when you're making the decision of the college, of your choice, that needs to be a component, not just, I like the city I go to, or like, it's in the SEC and it's a cool place to be. It's like, really think about it from the standpoint of, if your job is going to be as a pitcher, who do I think is going to do the best job developing my skill? Because then when you learn the lesson in college and then you get an opportunity in pro ball, well, now you have that foundation. So if a team drafts you who maybe doesn't do a good job doing that, guess what happens now? You already have a foundation to rely on and go back to, instead of like now grasping at straws. Oh, I chose this school and for the wrong reasons, and now this team drafted me and I'm not learning it still. Yeah, it's like, well,
yeah, and I think there's different outlets or like avenues to go down when you get stuck in that. And then like tread is one of them. Like, I'm not trying to, say that's just the only answer, but facilities like that are the reasons why they exist, right? There's a reason why pro ball players go to those facilities, is because they are stuck in that avenue where it's like, I didn't do myself a service and now I'm looking for something and the organization isn't really helping. I feel like I'm losing it. And they turn to a third party. And typically, the third party is there to help you, right? They don't have a ton of guys that they have to manage at one time. Sure, there's time slots and stuff like that. They have clients, sure. But what I'm saying is like, you have your individual one-on-one time. And there's nobody that's trying to win the World Series in a third-party facility, right? So they have the time to talk to you and evaluate and see what you are thinking and work at it, really. So like, I think that's why a lot of pro ball players go to those third-party facilities and really like take off from there.
Yeah, they want to. They want to take their career in their own hands, and like, I don't want to be hamstrung by
exactly
this one way of doing things. I'm smart enough to know there's something else out there. I need to. If you're not going to give it to me, I need to like go seek it myself.
Like a prime example. You know what? I'm not talking about just third party, but a prime example that I'm thinking off the top of my head would be Tyler Glasnow, right? Started with Pittsburgh, right? And he talks about it all the time, where he's like, had sinkers away, pitch inside, you know, and it was just the stature of just the way of pitching that everybody knew how the Pittsburgh Pirates were going to pitch them, right? But that didn't fit Glasnow. It didn't fit him. And he talks about it where it's like, I'm 6'7" and I'm throwing sinkers down and away. But he didn't know that he had this ultimate weapon in his four seam, right? He didn't have the, what they talk about now is a vertical break and all that stuff. And then the release point, the extension. And he's 6'7", right? And, so when he went to Tampa, he took off.
Yeah, they unlocked it.
Yeah. And so like that's exactly what we were talking about in the sense of like an organization not knowing how to really develop, or not develop, but like unlock that for a player versus going to a third party or a different organization that will unlock it for you. And so that's what really ultimately saved Glass.
Yeah.
Like that trade right there is what saved Glass.
Yeah, and so again, like not wanting to be in a position where you need the luck of the right team trading for me. It's like, how do you seek out the information early, learn it? And it's not a straight line. You're not going to go to one place and it's going to click right away. And it's like, there you go, you got your thing, and now you're good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like now teams are starting to buy into that, and they're starting to buy into like, okay, these are the characteristics that this guy has. These are the characteristics that we are missing in our bullpen. This is the guy that has it. We want to plug him in. And stuff like that. That's ultimately kind of what it's going down to now.
The big leagues is a very copycat league where all it takes is you look at organizations that are good at certain things, and these organizations that aren't so good see it and say, oh, we just need to duplicate this. There's mistakes that are made even with that, though, because it's not a matter of just like, okay, get any guy who can teach this. It's like, you even talked about it, the communication piece. What is being relayed? How is it being conveyed? Who's the personality? It may work for Tyler Glasnow. It may not work for Anthony Banda.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Tyler Glasnow is a big communicator. Like, and there's a bunch of superstars that are huge on communicating. There's a bunch that aren't. Like, just the way it is. That's just the human nature of it. But, he's a fun guy to talk to about mechanics and stuff like that. And it's and you look at him, you're like, dude, you're elite. And it's just like, man, like, but he's just a big communicator. He has to basically tell you what he's thinking in the mechanical standpoint to basically give you the answer in the sense of what he's trying to talk about.
So I'm curious, you talked about how like process is very important. Walk everybody through like, what is your warm up and like all of the pre-work that you're doing before game? Like, give us an idea of what that looks like. Because I know so many of these kids who are pitchers are like, what does it look like in the big leagues? Like, how has it changed for you, and what is it like today?
Yeah, I'm probably not the best guy to follow that with, but I found that what works for me really, and this isn't one shoe fits all, like, right? Some guys I watch roll out all day. They stretch all day, roll out all day. They just love to feel ready, like loose, lubricated, whatever it may be. Me, I typically what I do is I get to the field every day, or it's every other day I work out, right? And then from there,
how long are your workouts roughly?
45 minutes.
I love bringing that up because so many kids today, they're like, oh, I'm in the gym for 2 hours working out. I'm like, dude, 2 hours every day?
That's a off season type of deal.
Exactly.
Yeah, like in season, it's like, okay, it's basically what it is like stress the body, right? And it sucks in the beginning because like you stress the body, then you go pitch, and then you have a day off, right? Or you may not have a day off, and then you stress the body again. So it's every other day you're working out. You're in the gym, you're moving weight, right? But you're stressing the body to be able to handle the stress throughout the year, right? And that's what I'm noticing, right? I feel great. I'm healthy. I bounce back really well. And it's like, well, what is it? It's not I don't do a ton of recovery stuff, right? I'm not just hammering that out. It's like when I look at the big picture, it's like, well, it's because I'm continuously working out and stressing the body every other day. And then you put the aspect or element of pitching, throwing a baseball. It's a weight. You're throwing a weight. It's stressing the body even more. And then you're running, doing, and you're stressing.
Yeah.
And the body's an amazing thing where it's like, sure, you may feel tired, you may feel sore, but it's not going to break, right? It's building the level of stress to get to a point where it's like you can recover, bounce back, and keep going. So my routine would be like, work out, get ready for practice. I go out, play catch. I touch the mound every single day. I'm a big believer in touching the mound every single day, and it's only about 8 to 12 throws, right? And I get what I want out of that in the sense of I'm going to land a slider. I want to see the shape of my slider. I want to see my sinker in on a lefty. I want to see a four seam up. If I nail those things, great. I'm in a good spot. I move on.
What percentage are you like throwing? Are you like
typically as a reliever? Typically I'm probably 85%, 85, 90%. Like I want to get as close as I can game speed, which you will never
duplicate?
Yes, it's a different speed. You're in fight or flight mode the entire time, and your body's moving super fast, and you're never going to be able to get to that point. And so from there, it's like, okay, work out, touch the mound, go inside. If I need any type of treatment or shock therapy, whatever, I'll do that. Whatever, eat, hang out for a little bit, take a shower, get ready for the game, go to the bullpen, and wait for the phone to ring. There's not a whole lot of prep for me, really. There's guys that prep a huge amount. There's guys that prep normal amounts. There's guys that, it's everybody's different. And there's no right or wrong, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all personalized.
Exactly.
I think the biggest mistake a guy could make if he gets called up is like, what's Shohei doing?
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Don't do that.
Right.
It's your routine. You develop that routine, right? And if that works for you, great. And if you feel good, you listen to your body. In this routine that you're developing, you listen to your body. If you feel great, keep doing it. Keep going with it. And if you want to add some things, great. And if they work out, great. If they don't, get rid of it.
Was that taught, or was that like you just learned through experience of what works for you?
Yeah.
So there's no like, do it this way and this is the only way to do it.
It used to be that way. When I first came into pro ball, it was like, hey, but it was almost like when I look back at it now, it's like it's a smart way of doing it because it's an introduction of how to build a routine, right? If you tell a kid that doesn't have a routine in pro ball, right? It's brand new to pro ball, doesn't have a routine. Hey, you need to have a routine. Well, he doesn't know where to start.
Well, and it's also like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
What should it look like?
Yeah. And like given like, some college guys that come from a college program that develop that already, great. Stick to that. Add to it, subtract to it from it, keep moving forward. Guys that come out of high school, there's not a lot of high school programs that develop routines, right? So, those kids, those young guys are the ones that you need to kind of address that to. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you need to have a routine. And if you don't know what it looks like or how to do it, speak up. And if you don't, you're going to be lost. You're going to be doing, stuff that you don't even know that may benefit you, may hurt you. I don't know. And then if the phone rings, and it's me, I just get up and I start throwing. Like I start throwing, I basically shock the body in the sense, like I start curl hopping, throwing. I'm trying to move my legs fast, get the body to go fast.
Do you have a certain number of throws that you feel like you need to get to in the bullpen?
No.
You can always control that too. It's like, hey, Anthony, get up because this guy gets on, you're in.
Yeah. Well, if it's that quick, you're like, oh man, like, I need to get going. Like, usually they do a very good job of like, hey, fourth guy this inning, get them ready for the fourth guy. And so we kind of play it as the game's going on. We play the amount of throws with the game, and that's kind of like taught in a way. Like you watch guys, self-taught. It's, some people, if they just see you rapid firing, they'll tell you to slow down. And then the best thing I do that I developed last year was when I'm going in, I always tell myself, you can't control anything. You have nothing to lose. You have everything to gain from it. Let's go.
Mm.
Right? I get to the mound. Throwing my pitches. At this point, I'm numb because I'm like that fight or flight is already going. And I'm like, I don't feel anything. I'm watching, the pitch shapes. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling whippy. The ball's coming out. I'm like, okay, cool.
At what point in the bullpen are you thinking about, all right, so I got the fourth guy. Who is it? This guy. Okay. And at what point are you like already game planning, like how you're going to attack them?
Basically when the bullpen coach tells us, like, hey, get ready for
whomever. You guys playing Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah. What Vladdy comes to mind, right? I'm not gonna face Vladdy, but
no, I get it.
Get ready for Vladdy. He's, this is where he's at. This is what he hunts. This is, it's like, okay. And so like as you're throwing, I'm trying to like mimic. All right, if you're like fastballs, don't throw the fastball up, throw it down and away. All right, I'm trying to throw it down and away, like, and so it's like understanding what pitch you're going to use the most as an individual, and then understanding, does this guy handle that pitch and where does he handle it, and let's just try to stay away from that area.
So what would you say? I think a lot of times in amateur baseball, especially, as players start getting better, this doesn't necessarily apply. But sometimes in amateur baseball, these guys on these travel teams, they play with a team and the catcher, somebody they don't know all that well, and they don't work tremendously well together. There's an unfamiliarity. When you're in the big leagues, obviously, it's like chances are the catcher who's receiving pretty good, right? Now, there could be differences from like, this guy to that guy, but it's not a drastic difference like you would see in amateur baseball. But what would you say to the pitcher who, goes out there and he's like, man, that catcher just totally messed me up. Wasn't sticking the strike. He's taking the ball out of the zone with my slider, and you're really frustrated with the catcher. Like, what would you tell that guy?
Well, I would just tell him the truth. Like, hey, like, he doesn't know you, right? And if the catcher is this good to be on the team of this quality, like, he should be able to handle that, right? But then also, like, at the same time, it's like, okay, you don't have a scouting report, right? And if you do, I think it's BS because
it's crazy. Like, how do you have a scouting report at 17 years old?
Yeah, it's people. What do you have? People following people scouting? Like, come on, like you shouldn't have any of that.
Well, and it's also like, how much data do you really have? Like, you got like 3 games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So telling this to like a travel ball young kid, don't forget to have fun. One, right? And I know you're competing, and I know it's frustrating, and I know that everybody doesn't want to fail and this and that, right? But you got to remind themselves, like, okay, look, this guy doesn't know you. You're throwing your slider way out, and he's not sticking it. It's probably a ball, right? Don't blame the catcher, right? If you want to basically do well in travel ball, you got to be free. And I'm only talking from experience in the sense of like what I went through. Throw it to the plate and see what happens. You don't have to be perfect.
Well, and also like, hey, control what you can control. Yeah. Can you control, especially if you're like, first pitch fastball, strike. Okay, I feel good. Throw the slider, takes it out of the zone, and automatically, right away, you're like, dude.
Yeah,
come on. And now you're worried about
like with the slider. If you're trying to strike it, like it's going to be up.
Yeah,
like it's not going to be a down slider.
Right.
Like those down on the corner sliders, those are oops sliders. Like
right. Well, I think sometimes in amateur baseball, a lot of times the pitchers, they're like trying to be crafty.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of like, well, just pitch.
Yeah.
Like, what was the pitch you just threw before? Shouldn't that pitch on some level dictate what the next pitch is that you're going to throw? And like, what did he do with that pitch?
That's kind of how you develop pitching.
Right.
Because if you're not doing it that way, then you're just a thrower.
I just think in amateur baseball, they think all these kids think they can overpower everybody.
I mean, yeah.
Right. And at this next level, hey man, if they know a fastball's coming, I don't care if it's 103,
Yeah.
right? And it moves this much.
I just watched somebody from Arizona park 104 over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I actually had a conversation with Mookie about it. And he's like, well, what were the pitches before? And that was his first question. I said, oh, I think he went slider, fastball, fastball, fastball. He goes, I don't care how hard it is. Like, you can catch up to a fastball.
Yeah. That's all these guys see is velo now.
Yeah.
These are the best guys in the world.
Yeah.
Like, they're not, overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
Remember Brandon League? Remember that name? He was with the Dodgers at one point. He was a closer with Toronto. So he was like, this was many years ago, but he was a client and he was in AA this was when the minor leagues had all-star games, Eastern League all-star game. And at the time, most guys were throwing, the hardest guys would throw is like maybe 99, right? Very few were hitting 100. He's in the AA all-star game. He hits 100. And the thing that made him so impressive is he would throw like almost like 3/4 and his ball would move this much. So he's throwing 100, but it's just like,
Sinkers.
I mean, it's crazy, right? He gets called up to the big leagues with Toronto. They're facing Boston. He faces Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz, and he couldn't locate his breaking ball. And so he thinks, like he had no choice at that point. He's literally like, I have to throw a strike. I mean, doesn't matter how far the ball moves, man. Like Manny Ramirez, I think double off the wall, David Ortiz homer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and they're doing that because they know you got to throw a fastball.
Yeah. And the thing is that what pitchers lose sight of is hitters are up there. The first at bat you may get away with, right? But they're analyzing and eliminating a pitch.
Yeah.
So
so talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so
that's important.
The first thing I try to do is like I try to strike a slider or strike something, right? So they can understand like, okay, he can strike it. And typically it's going to be a breaking ball, right? And because the fastball, obviously, you got to strike.
Yeah.
So now they have two pitches to worry about. And if you have a third pitch, like a changeup, and you can strike it, now they got three. There's three different movements that they have to really, really, basically guess. And so what hitters in the big league level, what they're really good at, and this is just from speaking to other guys and just talking baseball. What a lot of guys do is they eliminate a pitch, and then the good ones eliminate the location. And it's like, whoa, right? And I remember Freddie actually talked about that. I'm not going to go into details and stuff like that, but he talked about eliminating locations. That was the first time I ever heard that. And I was like, whoa. But if say you have to face three guys, right, nowadays, you can't strike a slider or a breaking ball. They're eliminating it. They don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, can't strike it, right? And if the guy in the first hitter, he pops up, he goes, 2-1, and you bounce two sliders. Now it's, you got the 2-1 by bouncing two sliders, right? You went fastball, slider bounce. Now you're 2-1. Now he's eliminating the slider in that at bat, right? And then you throw a heater and he pops it straight up, right? Like, okay, you got one out. But the guy on deck just saw that you bounced two sliders.
Yep.
Now what is he going to hunt? He's hunting fastball.
This is the game of chess.
Yes. And now he's hunting fastball. Now you can really mess him up if you strike the slider.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, he struck the slider. It's like, there's no way he can do it 3 in a row. Throw another slider, strike it. He's like, oh, shit. And now you throw a slider that should have been hit 450, and he swung through it. Struck him out.
Well, the interesting thing is there's obviously all these studies that have been done, with effective velocity and all these different things. But the hitter, obviously we all know what tunneling is now. Yeah. And the hitter has to make a decision on, am I going to swing at this at a certain point, right? When the ball is coming to him.
And it's all location. It's all where the ball's at. Where it's released at.
Because the hitter, he knows, hey, if you release your fastball in a different place than your slider, it's a dead giveaway what's coming, right?
What I see nowadays is I'll see hitters talk about, oh, well, this is my area. What do you mean? It's well, this is my area. This is where I want to see the ball. What do you mean see the ball? Well, this is where I want to see the ball. If the release point and the ball match in the sense of this area I'm looking at,
yep,
I'm swinging.
A lot of hitters, And like the best ones, like this is all information they already have, whatever.
We're not telling secrets.
Yeah. But the hitters will say, like they think, oh, I saw spin. It's actually they saw spin late. So now after they swung and missed, they're like, oh, that was a slider. So they think, oh, I picked up that it was a slider. No. You had to make a decision on what you were going to do. And as you were swinging, that's when you realized, it's a slider, right? And that's when they take these swings. And so that is something that I think pitchers oftentimes give hitters so much credit where that hitter, like you can tell when a hitter's also like not comfortable, right? And so when you as a pitcher see that, what's going on in your mind?
I'm hitting that button, the same pitch.
Yeah.
Throw the same pitch, throw the same pitch, throw the same pitch. Don't do anything different, throw the same pitch. Like if you...
Well, and what's funny too is even if you know the hitter knows that you're going to throw the same pitch, that's the best when you know he's sitting slider and he just swings right through it.
Yeah, I had an at bat. I'm not going to name a name, but I threw 2 sliders and he did not want any part of it. And I was like, I'm going to throw this one really nasty. And I hung it and he hit a base hit. And I was like, no way. That is when I'm truly upset with myself because I did that. Like, I wanted to make it nastier and I changed things. But it was the same pitch. And I gave him the opportunity to get on base when he should have been an out. Right? And shoulda, coulda, woulda, but that's baseball. That's big league baseball. Like, credit to him. But I was like, there's no reason why you should have sniffed first base. Right? And but yeah, those are the pitches that I'm like, man, I wish I can have back.
Yeah. I want you to envision Anthony Banda debut in the big leagues with the Diamondbacks and think of like the pitcher that you were then. Give me like 2 words to describe that pitcher and then give me 2 words to describe the pitcher you are today.
2 words. Terrified and a thrower.
So you got to the big leagues as a thrower.
Yeah. Like standing on the mound, I was shaking. My legs were shaking. Like,
which is kind of normal. By the way.
I know. But what I'm saying is like I was shaking. But then I was like, I got to throw strikes.
What'd you throw to Harper, by the way? Was that a curveball?
Yeah. The curveball.
Which again, like your curveball was disgusting back then too.
Yeah. And it was different laces, different balls.
True.
But yeah. And
hold on. So terrified and
thrower.
And thrower.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 today.
Aware and experienced. Doesn't mean I'm not scared, or not, I wouldn't say scared, but anxious, fight or flight, adrenaline junkie, whatever you want to call it. Like, yeah, that's still there.
I think people have a misconception about, and this is like, and you know this about me because we have many conversations about like what language you're using. But when players think about like, oh, I feel nerves, right? That's what's funny is a lot of times guys are like, no, I need to calm myself down so I don't feel it. Like, no, if you don't feel nerves, to me, it's like, do you even care? Like if you're going out into a game, especially in the big leagues with all these people there and like, there is meaning to this outing on some level and you're not feeling those nerves, like something's not right.
Yeah.
Right. But everybody, when they describe it, is like nerves is bad instead of what if having nerves is the best thing that's ever happened to you.
It's so crazy you brought this up because like last year when I was in the playoffs, I remember the first outing, I was like super overwhelming nerves, and I was like, man, what's going on? And I remember when I was warming up and I was going in Dodger Stadium and I was like, you know what? This is a good thing. This is a good thing. I got through the first hitter and I was like, oh, it's the same thing. It's the same game. It's the same thing. Like it's just because there's a title to it now. There's more people in the stands. There's more light. There's more eyes on you, right? Sure, that brings pressure, but it's the same game. So if you can get past that, just do your job.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. And so when I was walking off after that outing, I was walking off the field, and I was telling myself, like, it's a good thing that you were nervous because it made you realize, like, it's the same thing. You were scared of this big, scary monster, but then when you got through it and you did your job, you realize, oh, I just did my job. I've been doing my job for 4 months, 5 months.
Right.
It's the same thing. Like, all right, now let's go. That's when I got really excited because, like, there was nothing scary about it. It was just, it's a big league baseball game.
I'd have 2 more questions. The first is, you've been through many off seasons as a professional. Take us through what your off season like rest is like. When do you start picking up a baseball again? When do you start working out? And I want to preface this by saying there are guys who have these 10-year contracts, 5-year contracts, and they have the luxury of being like, hey, I can like slow it down and do things different. You're not a guy who has
The luxury, no.
Yeah, you don't have the luxury of like comfort of like, hey, just take it easy.
No.
So walk me through like what your off season looks like.
So typically I'll give myself 2 weeks.
2 weeks of just like really doing nothing.
Maybe 2 weeks. Maybe a couple days. Like last year I did because it was such a long season.
Yeah.
We went deeper and we won it. Like, you know, and so I was like, okay, and they were telling us like,
Yeah.
you need to take a break.
Well, normally you're done at the end of September.
Yeah.
Now it's November.
Yeah. They're like, hey, take a break. Do not pay. They were calling us and telling us that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I didn't do anything for 2 weeks. But typically, I really just listen to the itch. And I talk about the itch in the sense of the sensation of wanting to go do something, right? Sure, like we're on go every day for 7-8 months. And there's a lot of players, including myself, at some point you're like, man, I just want a day, right? And I'm just doing nothing. I want to sit on the couch and do nothing, stare at the wall, like nothing. And so when you get to the off season and there's the times come where you just don't do anything other, like as far as activity.
Yeah.
For me, it's like it's a couple of days and I'm like, man, I want to go do something, right? And then I'll have to tell myself, no. And then I start doing random things around the house to keep myself busy, right? And then it gets to a point where it's like, okay.
When do you go back in the gym?
Well, I was
2 weeks?
say, no, typically I give myself probably a week at max to get back in the gym.
Yeah.
Like just give myself days to recover, rest, you know, let the aches start creeping in again. And then hit the gym.
Yep.
And so I'm in the gym and typically it's an hour and a half too, just because, you know, I'm total bodies. It's like three workouts a week, total bodies, and that's it, right? And then I'll start throwing I'm not talking about last off.
Yeah, assume a regular off season.
Your regular off season. So I'll start picking up a baseball probably like late November, like after.
Right, so you ended in September.
Yeah, all of October.
All of October, you're not throwing,
but I'm lifting.
but you're lifting.
But I'm not off.
And the majority of November, you're taking off, and then at some point after Thanksgiving, whatever it is, you're going to start playing catch.
Yep, and then and that's just a reliever, right? I know I'm not starting. I know I don't have to build up. I don't have to have all this volume behind me before I get to spring training, like, right? And so as a reliever, it's more of like, okay, we can push the throwing date a little bit back.
What would you have done had you still been a starter?
I probably would have started throwing the 1st of November.
Right. So it's an extra couple weeks because you don't need that volume.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot more running.
Yeah.
But typically it's just like, you know, give yourself a couple of weeks or start working out, get in the gym. I know there's players that don't give themselves any rest days from gym.
Mm-hmm. A lot of them.
And there's some that don't stop throwing, you know, but I found that works for me. What recovers for me the best is give myself a time to strengthen my shoulder again, because I just went on a tear for 8 months, a wear and tear of my body for 8 months.
Well, people don't realize too, like just how the body works. Like you need to allow your shoulder to like reset essentially.
Yeah, scar tissue.
Yep.
Scar it up. And then basically get in the gym, start stressing those muscles again. slowly. You don't have to go in there and start throwing weight around.
Yep.
And you slowly progress from there. And then by the time you're going into spring training, you're basically on a downtrend. Not meaning that, you're not doing anything. You're just lifting more reps, less weight.
Yep.
Right. And you're basically, it's like almost like doing a banded exercise and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's more like endurance for the muscles, not like
for the muscles and and ligaments. Yeah. You want to stress the muscles. You want to stress the ligaments in some capacity to be able to take on the throwing aspect. Because when you get to spring training, you're gonna feel really good. And the first day you're gonna feel really good, and from there it's downhill. Yep. You don't ever feel that great ever again throughout the season. But my goal is in spring training is to stress the body as much as I can with baseball activity. That way I can layer it on top of my workouts and then start building that stress factor again. That way I can have it throughout the season and kind of bounce back and recover very quickly.
It's great.
As a reliever, you got to be available, right? Yep. And that's kind of what I pride myself on, is being available and being useful in the sense of productive. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how the off season kind of plays out.
That's helpful.
But there's and
you had to learn that too. It's not like you just first year in pro ball, you're like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to stick with it the rest of my career.
Yeah, the first year of pro ball, I remember I was in the gym twice a day, and what I would do is, it was me, my cousins, and brothers, a bunch of meatheads at the time, and all we wanted to do was lift weights. And so all I did was lift weights. We'd lift weights in the morning, go to Whataburger, eat, go take a nap, go back to the gym at night, lift the same exact way we lifted in the morning.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. And then do whatever, play video games, whatever.
Do what kids do back then.
Yeah. And then do it again.
Yep.
Do it again.
Yep.
And then the throwing started happening. Where I would fit my throwing is like I would eat, go throw, go take a nap, go lift, go be a kid.
Yeah.
And then do it again. And it's just like that was my first off season. And
that was many months ago.
Yeah.
All right, last question. What would you say to me? I think a lot of times families think, I know you tell me often the business, it's not personal, but it's still personal, because it's my son, if it's a dad or a mom, and if it's a kid, well, of course it's personal because it's me. Talk to me a little bit about how you've recognized it's a business, right?
Yeah.
And as much as this is your career, and obviously it matters, and it is personal to you, it's not personal to the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny that I love that you brought this up, honestly. And because I used to always take it personal, right? And when you would always tell me, it's just a business, dude. Like it's not personal. It's just a business. And I'm like, dude, F them, But the way I learned how a business is ran is going through that, right? And going through, and I understood, my brothers call me and they're talking about how it is within their business and, what their jobs consist of and how they're being treated. And I'm like, dude, it's not personal. It's just
That's
how
funny.
they're doing their business, right? Sometimes you're on the shit end of the stick. Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to be on that side, but people are. And they're not looking at the best interest for you. They're looking at the best interest in what it is for them as far as the business. And so when you look at it, it's sure, as much as it hurts, because it's your pride is hurt, your confidence is shot, you feel small. That cannot be something that you can take with you, right? And I used to do it a lot, right? And when I started noticing it, I started noticing like how they would communicate with me afterwards, still wondering if I'm doing well, when I would see them again, this and that, right? I started realizing like, it is a business. This is how it's ran. And then I started looking on the outside world. It's like, that's exactly how businesses are run on the outside world as well. So I learned a valuable lesson. If you're going to get into business and this is what you're doing, like, you got to understand the dark side of the business too.
Sure.
And that is the dark side of the business, but it's nothing personal.
That's right.
And when people can accept that and understand that and see it, and some people might need to see, like, okay, well, what's the trickle effect, like, of the business if I, leave out of the, like, and you see it firsthand and like, oh, I get it. Yeah. You're just trying to improve your team, whether it's your baseball team, football team, whatever. You're trying to improve that, right?
Well, I think players early on in their career look at a major league organization and say, man, these guys are really smart. Mm-hmm. These guys have all the resources to know all of these data points. And if they're doing something for this reason, the byproduct of that is like, okay, you're going to go sign him instead of me. You think I suck. No. It's like, no. All they're doing is they are taking an educated guess. Yes. It's all educated guesses. They're not robots. Oh. They've made plenty of mistakes. This is how you have guys who, hey, look, you're a 10th rounder and look what you've done. Albert Pujols was a 13th rounder. Look what he did, right? Mike Trout wasn't the first overall pick. So it's like naturally people make mistakes. They don't all get it right. And so I think the context matters, because as a player, if you can understand, oh, this is happening for these reasons, this isn't a reflection on me. This says nothing about how my career is going to go. Now, does it change the circumstances by which, if they're going to option me down, obviously I do have to go down to AAA. I have to fight through this. I've got to continue to throw well. But the great equalizer, and I always tell this to guys, I've said this to you before, it's like your performance is going to be the great equalizer for you. Yep. If you think that you can hang your hat on, this sucks, I'm getting screwed, so I'm just going to spend time and just stew on that. If that's getting you better, then do it all you want. But if it's not, you better recognize it now, shut it off, and go perform.
Yeah, and it's hard to, and I was on both ends of that, right? And it's very hard to shut that down, right? And I still fight to it to this day. But when I see guys, get optioned, right? Or, I'm in AAA and I hear guys, complaining and bitching. My favorite thing is like, well, pitch better. Right?
Yeah.
Hit better, play better, right?
And that's the worst thing.
And I know, but I say it because like I'm there too, right? Like I feel the same way. And so is everybody in this room, right? But the reality is, if you're pitching better, you're going to get the opportunity. If you're pitching better or playing better or hitting better, whatever it is, you're going to stay, right? And so, like, I remember having this conversation with Anthony Goose. Great dude, phenomenal athlete, unbelievable stuff. And he was just like, man, like, he's worried about his numbers, right? And I'm like, dude, just keep going. Like, keep going. Like, you literally have nothing else that you can possibly do except to keep going, right? You can bitch and moan all you want. You can complain to the world all you want. It's not going to change the circumstances unless you just drop your stuff and go home, right? And you start something else. But if you want to do this and you want to keep doing this, you just have to keep going. You have to keep going. And credit to him, like he's had an amazing career, and everything. And he went from an outfielder to a pitcher, like made it both times.
Yeah.
Had success, everything. So, but I always like when I hear guys, complaining, it's like, dude, like you can complain all you want. And sure, people are going to get tired of hearing it. People are going to get, say things to you that are truthful and they're going to hurt. But at the same time, like all you can really do at the end of all that is keep going. If you really want to keep doing this, you keep going. Because the only thing that's going to change something is if you keep going. You're going to give yourself the opportunity to change something. You're going to give yourself the opportunity to learn something, to change something, and you keep going. Just keep going. And that's...
I always tell guys all the time, and not that these are like the only two explanations, but when they're so convinced that they're right about how they're looking at something, right? I go, do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? Right?
Yeah.
Because you can keep complaining about this is the worst thing that's ever happened. This is going to be the end of my career. And you believe that, you're going to be right, and it'll be the end of your career.
Yeah.
But if you want to be rich, which again, I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to be rich, but if you want to be rich, get over it. Move past
or
it.
if you just want to get to where you want to be, you're going to have to get through it. Like, it's so funny that there's a conception or misconception of like somebody like giving everything to you on a silver platter, right? And every you know, and that comes from parenting. That comes from, you know, coaching, as far as like, this kid is the best kid on our team. He's going to, you know, we're going to take care of him, blah, blah, blah. That comes from all that. But when you're in a pond or a big ocean full of the same talent, or even better, you got to know how to get through the complaining, right? Because everybody complains. Everybody complains. Everybody bitches. Everybody moans. Everything. Everybody wants everything to be perfect, and it's not going to go that way, right? The best thing you can teach yourself is to keep going, right? And if you keep going, I promise you, though, the opportunity is going to come, and you're going to be prepared for it, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not, it's going to tell you, it's going to show you, and you're going to be right back where you're at. And what are you going to have to keep doing? You're going to have to keep going.
That's right.
So that's what I've learned from my career, and that's what I live by on my career and my life. Is like, no matter what it looks like, if I keep going, like, I'm going to get somewhere, right? And no matter how much it hurts, no matter how many sleepless nights you have, no matter how many, you know, arguments you go through, whatever, how many walls you punch, you keep
left that out.
going.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good with it. I don't care. You just keep going. You have to keep going. Like, life is full of that, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, you really look at it as like, okay, these guys that have this silver platter that's been put out in front of them, and the minute they fail, they panic. They have no idea how to
get out of it.
Yes.
They've never struggled.
They never struggled. And so at that point, it's like, what do you do now? You keep going.
I always tell people, like, and I know this is not easy.
It's not.
When you go through struggle.
It's not easy.
When you go through struggle, when you're living your dream, and up until that point, all the things you've ever wanted have happened, right? Like, you know, you're a high school player and you're a perfect game All-American. You're a first-round pick. You're having success in the minor leagues. You get to the big leagues and you fail.
Yeah.
At that point, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
That's not how this is supposed to go for me. And so naturally, that player who's had so much success, unbeknownst to them even, they're looking around like, oh, something else must be the matter for this happening. So oftentimes it's easy to look at the team and be like, well, why did the team do that?
Blame
or
them.
Again, if you're a pitcher, it's the catcher's fault. Or the circumstances aren't perfect for me to do what I should be able to do.
And my favorite thing about that would be like to tell somebody this, and I've told multiple guys, multiple teammates and stuff. I just, you know, I'm not going to name names, but I just told this person, one of my teammates, this. And I go, dude, what you're going through right now, you've never struggled, or I wouldn't say struggled up to this magnitude, but at the same time, it's like, it's preparing you for something greater.
Yeah.
So all you can do is trust the process and keep going.
Yeah.
Go through this, accept it, enjoy it. It's hard. It sucks, but enjoy it, right? But keep going.
Yeah.
Because it's going to matter, and you're going to look back at it and say, I'm so happy I went through that.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy I went through it, because look at what I achieved now.
And that is your story, bro.
Yeah.
And we're going to end there.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.